Hey everyone, just a real quick episode here with Del Bigtree. And the reason we're doing this is Del is going to speak live at Best Practices with James Chestnut and I in Dallas. Now, because he isn't going to go to Australia and he is not going to join us in the UK, what we are going to do is at the Best Practices seminar, November 14th and 15th in 2025, Del Bigtree is going to be on stage live. He's going to speak for the final hour of the second day. And then when he's done, he's going to join James and I with a live studio audience for the Chiro-Factor podcast immediately after he speaks. So again, he's going to speak for an hour, light up the room. He's got a big set of booming lungs and he just fills the room with certainty and conviction. And then we're going to sit down and have a dialogue between James and I with Del. And I'm really hoping that Del gets to know James a little better because James could be a weapon for us within the profession and also outside the profession, talking about the science and the research and understanding methodology and designs of studies, which oftentimes is where the fallacies are made in some of the conclusions, is they look at the design study, and Chestnut basically deconstruct those better than anybody. And then they make these quantum leaps and what they say is the proof of the science for pharmaceutical companies or for medicine. And James goes, wait a minute, that's not true. And also speaking about the Cochrane reviews and what is true science versus low quality science. You're going to hear Del mention that in this episode. So what we're going to do is have Del speak at the Best Practices November the 15th for the final hour. We will do a podcast episode with Del Bigtree. And if you sign up for the Australia event, December 5th and 6th, you'll get the recording of Del once you sign up. If you signed up in the UK, February 6th and 7th, we're going to be in London, then you will get the recording. If you can't be there live and you're not going to buy a seat to Best Practices, you can do a purchase price. I think it's going to be a couple $100 of Del's talk. We obviously don't have it yet, so it's not for sale yet. And then what we're going to do is donate those proceeds back to helping the cause and helping the fight. So if you can't be there live and get it for free, then what you will get is an opportunity to buy it once Del does a presentation. And obviously, if you're in Dallas, you'll get to hear him live. But this is awesome because he's just coming off a big win of the Malibu Film Festival. Del Bigtree helped Bobby Kennedy as his communications expert. He was running Bobby's campaign basically for presidency, and that's obviously what got him in charge of healthcare here in the U.S. But as you'll hear in a moment, Bobby has then done things globally just as recently as this week. And he even had people talking in Parliament in Europe, European Union, down in Australia. But I'll let Del explain what those things look like and how the Maha movement is even moving into Europe as well. So with no further ado, I give you a good friend, a absolute warrior for truth and for health, Del Bigtree. And if you do join us November the 15th in Dallas, you'll get to see him live. And for our avid listeners, James and I are always looking for ways to make our podcast better. We're always looking for ways to increase the content and the reach. And I believe sitting down with Del Bigtree could be massive. And I will not give up on the idea of getting Chestnut and myself on with Joe Rogan. So we've had some help from our audience. Keep it up. Our time is coming and we will be patient, but I would love to get our message on the Joe Rogan experience. Cheers for now. Enjoy Del Bigtree. Hey, everybody, I'm super excited to introduce Del Bigtree. He's a guy that's been making some big things happen around the globe, certainly in U.S. healthcare. And we want to do just a quick chat today to kind of catch up to speed on what's happening currently and also what the future looks like, because I don't think it's ever been brighter in healthcare, but certainly not for chiropractors. So, Del, thanks for joining us today and spending some time.
Brad, thank you for having me, man. It's good to see you.
You too, buddy. Look, you're just coming off a huge win. The Malibu Film Festival is no joke. And to walk out of there with the #1 prize, which is the best film, talk me through what's been going on with the Inconvenient study and how that's new and different.
Well, Brad, I'm very excited about this film. It sort of came out of nowhere as I was, I got done with, getting Bobby Kennedy into HHS. I was, as you know, I was director of communications. I finally took a vacation that I needed for about 3 years with my family, went camping in July. And when I came back, Aaron Siri, our attorney for Informed Consent Action Network, our nonprofit, said, Del, Senator Ron Johnson's going to publish the Henry Ford study on the Senate website. He's going to do a hearing about it in a month and a half. We have to have a documentary ready to go about it. Now, I mean, for those of you who've seen the movie, you know what this is about, but I had challenged Henry Ford Health, specifically the head of infectious disease, back in 2016 when I was traveling with Vaxxed. I got to have dinner with this incredible world-renowned scientist, and I challenged him, do a vax versus unvax study. If vaccines are so great, then just do a study comparing the vaccinated to the completely unvaccinated. He agreed to do that study, and of course, finally got around to doing it in 2020 and then refused to publish it. So we were kind of dead in the water. I had gone and had dinner with him. I took hidden cameras because I wanted to, I wanted to know what the truth was. Why are you not publishing it? So when Ron Johnson suddenly gave us this opportunity, he said, look, I can publish it on the Senate website as part of the public good. And off we were to the races. I remember I was pretty harsh with Aaron. And this is what happens when your attorney commits you to making a movie that should have had a year. Instead, we ended up doing it in just about 2 months. And I'm really proud of the film. My team just worked overdrive. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And it's having a massive effect. Winning the festival is great. It gave it that sort of clout to really push it out there. It's free. Anyone can watch it. Our nonprofits put it out there at inconvenientstudy.com if anyone wants to check it out. But it is, Brad, I feel like we have finally jump started the scientific method, which is we need a debate around vaccines. We need a debate on whether they are actually improving the lives of children. Of course, this study the results are shocking. It's 2.5 times more likely to have a chronic disease is the final conclusion if you're in the vaccinated group. And I like guys like Peter Gutcha. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's one of the founders of the Cochrane collaboration, which was the international body of scientists that started regulating science. And this is how a good study should be done, beating down the studies that weren't done well. So that guy just about a week ago started tweeting out about the Henry Ford study. He believed the childhood vaccine program was amazing. We tried to get to him before to take a look at it. He is finally saying this study is very disturbing, essentially saying he's seen Henry Ford's, defense saying the study's no good or we can't trust the data. He's been out tweeting about it saying the results of this are so huge. There's such a giant gap between the health of the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. He's like, you just can't explain this away through confounding issues and the things that Henry Ford is complaining about. And he is demanding that bigger, more robust studies be done immediately, looking at vaccinated versus unvaccinated. So that is starting an international debate now about doing this study in every major database in the world. That's all we could ever have wanted, right? Just go ahead. Show us that the vaccinated are healthier. You know how this turns out. And this is like the fifth study like it, but all the other ones were smaller. But as I say in the film, there's not a single study in the world that's ever been done comparing vaccinated to unvaccinated where the unvaccinated came out and they were the sicker ones. It's always the vaccinated. So we're seeing, Brad, reproducible science, right? And that is the most powerful signal. In this case, our detractors, the Henry Ford and Dr. Marcus Zervo, set out to prove us wrong, and instead, ended up proving, that the vaccinated are really not doing well. So I think it's a game changer, Brad.
Totally game changer.
I think we're way past. I mean, from what we can track, we're well past, probably 25, moving towards 50 million views. But I saw a debate inside of the Australian Senate went kind of viral. A senator there brought up, did you know about the Henry Ford health study to the head of health in Australia? And the guy says, totally surprised by the question, says, that's a study. We're looking into it. It's done by the Informed Consent Action Network, like our nonprofit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you see that happening on the other side of the world, I think we're well past 50 million views. That means this thing is now global and people are talking about it everywhere. So it's really it's
huge.
Moment.
It's huge. And I think just for the listeners to really understand it, you mentioned Cochrane. Like that's a right way to review science. And it's a standard where not anything gets in. And also you mentioned they did the study, but then refused to publish. And I think for the lay people, the general public, they probably wouldn't know that. It's selective science. They get to choose what gets published, and they didn't like the outcome, so they go, "Yeah, we don't want to do that," which is crazy unto itself for the listeners who don't know that. And then, like you said, there's been other smaller studies that have compared it, but now there's a pattern, there's a trend, and each time, whether they're big or small studies or more robust stuff coming, the unvaccinated are healthier, the vaccinated are sicker. So it's a pattern you can't deny. And then just to kind of go back to what you were saying about helping Bobby Kennedy get in office, he wouldn't have run as successful a campaign and been such a player if it wasn't for your work. So you modestly just kind of threw that out there. So number one, huge debt of gratitude for that. And then Aaron Siri, now everybody knows that name because of what's played out, right? Publicly and through politics. And I think my interpretation of this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the interpretation is when the science speaks, that's the language and the currency of politicians. And if we're going to change political atmosphere, we need that. So the fact that you did hidden cameras, the fact that you pushed the envelope, and in 2016 it was, produced, and then it was dead in the water shortly after that, and now it's been revived. Like, this is what it takes, is your level of commitment over time, not taking a loss in a battle and saying we lost the war, but continuing to push. And so from 2016 to now 2025, it's having global impact, right? So people in Australia are talking about the study. Like, that's the power of the science, the data, the information, Cochrane getting behind it. And then all of a sudden you've got politicians in other places going through this. It's massive. And I wanted to highlight that for people, because understanding the exclamation point is winning the film festival. It gives it that clout, but that's the story wrapped around the data and information. And nobody does that better than you. And what you've been doing with ICANN for years is wrapping the story around the information. It's both. So I just think it's huge. And where do you think this can kind of go from here?
I think that we have turned a corner. I think we are actually in the offensive position now. And we have got, allopathic medicine, mainstream medicine, pharma, whatever you want to call it.
I like to call them allopathetic.
Yeah, allopathetic. I think they are now in a defensive position. Now we have politicians calling for placebo trials. You have sounding this alarm across the country and the world. Why are there no placebo trials of the vaccines? They've tried to get away with getting around this thing. Oh, well, we do. We have other ways of doing it. And no one's putting up with it now. Now this study is demanding that we do comparative studies. I'm saying this, Brad. I actually think, and this is my new statement, if you are pro-vaccine, you are anti-science. Yeah. And that is the position I'm now holding, is that they don't have science, and they have lied, they have cheated. This is a cult with some crazy rituals that never proved to be safe, never actually proved to be effective for certainly making us a healthier nation. We're the sickest nation now in the world. We're the sickest generation of children we've ever seen in this country. The numbers are deplorable. With Robert Kennedy Jr. there, with Marty McCary, Dr. Mehmet Oz, these guys all are, waking up at different levels, but are all now on mission to get to the truth. I just heard from a couple of them that watched the film. They're getting it, Brad.
Yeah.
When I got involved with this, everyone kept saying to me, you can't win this on the science. That people won't understand the science. That you've got to, like, early on with vaxxed, and then when I started talking to politicians, they're like, it's too complicated. You're going to get in the weeds. I said, baloney. I can make this make sense. Yeah. The truth will always make sense. And now, so many miracles have happened. I think COVID was a miracle, and I see my life in many ways as, a series of miracles. I think that's what we're all experiencing. I never get down when the Henry Ford study wasn't working. I just, like, on God's time, man. Whenever, I'm just going to keep pushing forward. What works. What doors open. The ones that don't, I'm not going to waste time on them. And so, you just keep planting seeds, and brilliant things keep happening. But I'm looking forward to being at your event just here in about a week down in Dallas, because I just want to talk to the people about, how fantastic this moment we live in is, how dynamic we can be as individuals when we just focus on tasks, when we focus on mission, when we let that innate intelligence, guide our every move. The world is changing so quickly now. I'm so excited about the possibility. And like I said, I've said this on many stages, chiropractic has the science, and it's sort of hid in the shadows, as though we're intimidated by all the powerful science that the Rockefellers brought in. And what you realize is that is the emperor has no clothes, man. We have torn the clothes off of that thing. It is not based in science. They're drugging people. Doctors have just become drug pushers. And so I think this is the moment. I think this is the time for chiropractic. and and all holistic modalities that are not drugging people. I think it's time we come together. And one of the things we're going to talk about is building a true healthcare system, which is something I'm very focused on now. Not a sick care system. How do we all work together to make sure that no child ever starts their life being injected with pharmaceutical products? I think parents in this movie, I can't tell you, Brad, how many people text. My phone is constantly buzzing, and they're all saying the same thing. Del, I couldn't talk my daughter-in-law into this.
Right.
I sent them the movie. They watched it. My grandkids are not getting vaccinated anymore. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's all just the truth, man. It's just
What I love so much about
right.
what you do, though, is you understand the science. You understand true science, not selective science.
Yeah.
And then you're a storyteller. You wrap the narrative around it so eloquently and so emotionally that there's a really nice balance of understanding the true science, what the data is, pushing something like the Ford study out there, and then also putting a narrative around it that I think for natural health practitioners, not just chiropractors, but like we have a really close relationship with the midwife that delivered our babies. What a congruent paradigm we are both practicing and living in, delivering babies naturally and not getting them vaccinated. And same thing within chiropractic, that this is a really unique time. So we're going to have you in Dallas with us mid-November, the 14th, 15th.
Yeah.
I'm excited because you're going to get to meet my good buddy, James Chestnut, and we're going to sit down and do a Chiro-Factor episode where he brings the robust chiropractic science, and you're going to give us the insight and your understanding of what the new pharmaceutical data is or the vaccine data. And then also, I love speaking politics, and it wasn't always in my wheelhouse to understand it this way, but the data, the science, and the research is what the politicians need to change policy. So we are at a precipice right now, and you and I have talked about this casually. People are on the run. Can we mention that a little bit about what you think a strategy would be now that there's momentum for chiropractors? There's momentum, and I'm excited because you're going to speak live. Just to be clear, you're going to be on stage live, doing what Del does. I mean, you talk about a set of lungs. The guy brings it, and then to sit down afterwards and do a live podcast, we can break into the details and really dialogue it where. We're gonna record it, and then in other countries, in Australia and in the UK, the docs that are at the same event, we're gonna give them the recordings because I knew before this even happened, it was global. The message has so much leverage. But now that people are on the run, what do you think would be a strategy? What should we be thinking about?
Well, I mean, in all honesty, I feel like I've exposed all of the fraud around mainstream medicine. And I've used the tool that is the easiest one available in media, which is fear. I worked on the doctor's television show. I watched how we would, make people terrified of a flu, season, or, you need drugs, or you need surgery. I mean, you know how that works.
To be fair, that's why you left the show, right?
I did.
Yeah.
And I got in this vaccine issue. And by the way, I was raised totally holistic. I only saw chiropractors, never went to doctor. I've said it so many times that when I was working on the doctor's television show, my mom would say, "What are you doing working on a medical talk show? You've never been to a doctor in your life." But the truth is I used the tool that they used against us. They used fear of disease. I used fear of fraud and lying and toxic injections. But it's only going to get us so far. We're going to, that is, COVID absolutely helped. Without COVID, Robert Kennedy Jr. is not HHS secretary for 50 more years. So that's in God's hands. It's a horrific event.
What a healthy perspective to have, though, right? Like horrific event, but without that, we wouldn't be here. Like, when you look at your problems and you have gratitude, they melt away. And for you to be persistent, to be patient, 2016 to 2025 with the Ford study, and I know if we just be candid, you and I have cracked a beer sitting down recently, and you just said it's on God's timetable, and I'm just here to be the vessel, and this is pre-Charlie Kirk, and you just said, of course there's things to be worried about, but I'm being guided by a higher power, and this is a unique time in history. No fear, no impatience with it all, just it's a bigger plan, and without COVID, in your own words, the gratitude is we wouldn't get to do this for another 50 years, if at all. And Bobby's in office. That's why I love your message, because it's just so positive and powerful for people.
We're going to talk about that in person. I could go on, but I do think a lot about my spiritual life now. And it's one of the things I really love about chiropractic. It's one of the things I want the world to know is the philosophy of chiropractic. But just to sort of finish it up, fear can only get us so far.
Mhm.
The people are running from their doctors now. They recognize they're being lied to. Doctors are running from doctors. Doctors are running from the CDC. 9 out of 10 aren't getting the COVID booster, which means you have a total destruction of trust in the foundational principles of medicine now, which is you're all supposed to be in lockstep. But as they're running, their hair is on fire. What are they running to? This is the moment where I want to I want to show the world, you guys, Brad. I mean,
Yeah.
the glowing, happy, healthy families that never go to doctors, these children with the bright, shining eyes that have never seen a vaccine, never seen an antibiotic. The world needs to know those can be your children too,
Love
that
that.
that is our future. And
Yeah, man.
so that's what we're going to do with media now. What I want to do now is paint the picture of that utopian evolution that is now, I think, within our reach. And chiropractic is the, I think, the leaders of that, and needs to really step up now, and just embrace these people, hold them that are afraid. They're afraid. What am I going to do if I don't have a doctor? They've let medicine become their religion, and they've lost track of their own, intuition, their own guidance. I think chiropractic is going to play a huge role right now in the transformation of America to begin with, and then ultimately as beacons of light for the world. It's an important time. And it is. I was thinking about COVID in sort of biblical terms, and it hit me. I think about Moses. I talk about Moses a lot. I talk Old Testament a lot. I don't know why I'm attracted to that story, but the parting of the sea. When Moses takes the people. I thought about that. He has total faith. He's charging for a goal. I'm going to free the people. I have no idea how. I know God's got us. I feel like Bobby and those of us that have been really just, we don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know if Bobby's ever going to be president, but Bobby, run for president. This is I feel it. Something great is going to happen. COVID was that thing where we were all charging towards a goal. Vaxxed was effective. We were making people question vaccines. We were really starting to make headway, but we had a long way to go, and we're running towards a river with we were pissed off pharma. We pissed off the institutions of the world. They're chasing us, and then COVID hits, and it's like the water parts.
Yeah, the
We
Red
run
Sea
through,
opens up.
and very much like the Red Sea, it also collapses and kills tons of innocent people or people that were on the wrong side. So it happened, but biblically, it felt like that. It was this seismic event that catapulted us, decades, if not millennia, into the future and what we're capable of. And so, and it's faith. Just, I don't know what's going to move that river. All I know is keep running, man. God's got this, and things get out of the way. It's fantastic.
I love it. I love it. So November 14th and 15th, we are going to be in Dallas. To be clear, Dell's going to join us on the 15th and kind of close down the show. And like I said, just do what Dell does, just a big set of lungs and certainty, and let it boom from the stage. And then we're going to sit down with my good friend, Dr. James Chestnut, and go through the science on both sides, both political pharma and the medical cartels, you know what I mean? And because that's what it is. Like, COVID was in California, but allegedly it wasn't in Florida or vice versa, and it's like, wait a minute, after 10 o'clock, you can't go outside because COVID's worse after 10 p.m. Is that with the time change or without the time change? Like some of this stuff, like people didn't even question it. And I'm like, this is silly. It's like, but what it did is it exposed it. And then the more they doubled down, I think they provided us the opportunity. But again, the exclamation point, someone that really put it through the uprights was you. And it was the story and the science. It's the combination. I want to be clear on that.
Yeah.
And I love your candor here because it started with fear and you took a page out of the playbook. But now it's shifting into the positivity and the story that I think a lot of chiropractors will resonate with, and they can be a part of that story. But now is the time, and people are on the run, and you've got to have a place for them to go. And if you just let them run, you can't be silly enough to think that Big Pharma isn't going to reorganize. You can't be dumb enough to think that medicine isn't really coming up with a counteraction plan now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a window here, and that sense of urgency is really critical, I think, for this conversation we're having. Is just, if nothing else, docs need to leave. What are you doing? Not what is your state association doing? What's Dell going to do next? How come Bobby didn't do this quicker? BS. What are you doing? What is your contribution? And that to me is going to be a call to action. But again, we're going to sit down on the Chiro-Factor. It'll be you, I, and James Chestnut. We'll go through the pro science for chiropractic. I want to hear what you've got your finger on the pulse. And there's nothing like you in person. So I'm just really grateful you're making the time for us. Anytime we can help you out, you know I'm in. And really, for you to come and grace the stage, we could have done it as a Zoom, but I'm really looking forward to the audience just to get your energy, your juice, and Dr. Oz, now that Make Europe Healthy Again, did not just pop up a couple weeks ago. Like everything you talked about, man, it's just happening. So, final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
I think take a moment, go out, take a deep breath. Remember how close we were to losing, our rights to speech. We were really in a dangerous situation coming out of COVID. If we had the wrong administration, look at just by the hair of our chins, something beautiful is happening. And whether or not Bobby changes the world or changes health as we know it at HHS, he is doing amazing things. But what we have right now is, as you said, a short window where we're not going to be censored, where our doors are not going to be shuttered. We need to build, an infrastructure that can withstand the next tsunami that is sure to come. But this time, the people on our side, we've got to enroll every single person that is questioning right now. That is the mission I want to talk about. They're out there. We will become the majority. We will outnumber mainstream. And once we do that, there's nothing they can do as long as we have the people on our side. We're so close to achieving that. But this is not the time to be quiet. This is not the time to wait it out and see, we in the eye of the storm, what's going to hit next. This is the moment to just really build that arc, bring people in, and get ourselves afloat, and build that new world that we've dreamed about, we've talked about. That BJ and the history of chiropractic has always known was possible. I think this is that moment for humanity. So I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Awesome. November 14th, 15th, Dallas, Texas. It is the Best Practices Seminar. Dell's going to be a guest. And anyone who registers in Australia or at our event in the UK in February 2026, you'll get Dell's recorded talk. We'll give that to you as a gift for the registrants. And then maybe most importantly, sitting down and doing the Chiro-Factor podcast with James Chestnut and myself. As always, man, you're a beacon of hope and opportunity for so many people. You're selfless, fearless, and I'm lucky to call you a friend. And anytime I get to spend with you, man, just completely blessed in your presence. So thanks for doing what you're doing, and thanks for including me in the mission. I'm on board 100%, and anything I can do, you let me know.
Absolutely, Brad. I'll see you in just about a week here. Looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Everybody, if you want to hear Dell, join us in Dallas, November the 14th and 15th. I know it's short notice at this point, but that is it for 2025. We will record it, and if you're an attendee in any continent for the Best Practices Seminar, you'll get the free recording as you register. At this time, it has not been done yet. Dell's speaking next week for us. So when it's accomplished, give us another week. We'll send it to any registrants ahead of time. You'll get it. And if you're not yet registered, December 5th and 6th, we will be doing the Best Practices in Sydney, Australia. And then James and I are going to do February 6th, 7th. We will be in London in the UK. So any attendees that have signed up will get the recording, and we'll make it available for purchase, but we're going to donate the money to a good cause. Kind of on the same topics. It could be right to ICANN. I want to see what Dell needs help with, maybe something for an upcoming project, but we're going to put the money to a good place because he's just doing us a world of good. And I think when people hear this message, it's got massive leverage for us as a profession. So everything we're doing here at the Chiro-Factor is to help chiropractors. There's many factors in health. There's many variables in health. But we often know that the X factor is the Chiro-Factor. So please keep doing what you're doing. And if you do appreciate these podcasts, drop some love, share it, copy paste to your friends. I mean it. We really need your help to push this out there. Our time is now, and that means you got to do your job. It's not hard to copy paste. It isn't hard to leave a couple sentences down below, but it's rare that people do that. It would help us out, and I'd appreciate your support as we continue to support you. Hey, on behalf of James and myself, we say thank you. We will be with Dell next week for a three-way conversation that is probably going to be unlike anything we've done. I'm really excited, looking forward to it. And when you're doing inspired work, how could you be anything other than grateful? I'm thankful for you, and we do appreciate it. Cheers.